Please welcome to the stage Wendy Kopp of Teach for All and Dr. Bernard Harris of the National Math and Science Initiative.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this session. I am Wendy Kopp from Teach for All, and across our network, we are working to develop teachers and leaders who can help all kids fulfill their potential to shape a better future for themselves and for all of us. And STEM education is really crucial to that. It's important for kids to be able to shape meaningful careers, and it's really important for them to be prepared to solve these increasingly complex challenges that we face as a society. But the big question is how to do this, how to ensure high quality, inclusive, equitable access to STEM education. And I am thrilled to be here with Dr. Bernard Harris, who has spent 25 years in math and science education. He is the first African-American astronaut to go to space, and he's also spent his last 15 years, I've learned, helping to build the National Math and Science Initiative. So I'm excited to get your thoughts on this question, and I'm curious, I guess, what your most central lessons are that we can build from across this country and across the world around how to ensure inclusive, sustainable STEM education.
Randy, I'm glad to be here with you today, and I thought maybe it would be good for me to back up a little bit and sort of say, why am I doing what I'm doing? Mm-hmm. I was one of those kids who was fascinated with science and science fiction early on. At 13 years old, I watched the lunar landing, and I knew what I wanted to do. But I was in a very constricted environment, if I can use those two words together. This was during the civil rights movement, where there were limited expectations for a black kid to do anything, let alone go to space. And so with that backdrop, I was determined that I was going to be successful no matter what. My mother was a third grade teacher for almost 40 years, and one of the things that she instilled in us was the value of education. So this question of education has been with me since I've traveled in space and come back, and it's now my new ministry, as I put it, or new mission, and which I call my terrestrial mission now. And so in that ensuing 25, 30 years of going out as an astronaut and trying to inspire young people, and then also working with the administration and teachers, it is really important for us to underscore not only the value of education, but the value of STEM education. And so how we can do that, there are many ways to get there, but you have to start and look at this gestalt-ly from pre-K through college, I would say.
Yeah. There are such extreme gaps in terms of STEM education, kind of access and outcomes along racial lines, along gender lines, and I'm wondering particularly kind of what you've learned about what we can do to ensure equitable access to high quality STEM education.
Well, this is something that we have been working on for 15 years, as you already said, at the National Math and Science Initiative. We have been intentional on going after those students furthest from opportunity, because we think that is going to be the only way that we can ensure the United States productivity going forward, but the world. So if you think about this in terms of other countries that are represented here, you ought to be on that same mission. And so how we do this is that we believe that accessing the teachers and getting the teachers the education that they need to then impact the students is the best way to do that. So think of it, I'll put my business hat on for a second. If you're going to invest, you want to invest in something that's going to have the greatest leverage. And investing in teachers, as you know, is the best investment that this country or any country can make.
Yeah, it's so true. And I have had an incredible chance to meet some extraordinary teachers who have done a lot to ensure that some of the most marginalized kids have really high quality STEM education. And I'm thinking about one example. I just got back from Colombia, where I visited in Singapore, Colombia, and I met an incredible STEM teacher named Jose Luna, who during the pandemic, I mean, he was teaching remotely. He was in Bogota. He had 100 kids, and he's trying to teach them through Zoom. They were ages 10 to 15, and he engaged them in a project researching the situation in rural Colombia. And these kids were just absolutely shocked. So these are some low-income kids in Bogota, and they're just so shocked to learn that a third of the rural Colombians don't have access to heat and to water. And these kids started researching this issue and pioneered actual solutions to catching rainwater, purifying it, to storing gas. They won a global competition. The professors at the local university met these kids and were just shocked at, from 10 years old to 15, their level of knowledge. And I think his example just shows us the potential when we have high quality teachers really utilizing a discovery-based approach to STEM education. But I'm wondering what you've learned about sort of what approaches work with kids kind of at the school or classroom level.
Yeah, I think the big thing that we need to do with young people is to connect the dots for them. I know it sounds kind of simple, but you know, we have all of these requirements for them to, you know, take biology or chemistry or engineering or technology of some sort, but we don't spend the time to connect the dots.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of effort in schools across this country, led in part by some of the work that we're doing with them, where we're saying that you really got to figure out how to connect biology with the real world.
Yeah.
And if you do that, then kids can relate. Can't tell you how many kids that I talk to, and I tell them, I pull out my cell phone and I say, look at this cell phone. You know, what is this? Was this developed through technology? And they go, well, yeah, kinda. But then I take the time to explain to them that it took a knowledgeable person in STEM to come up with that cell phone. And how about that video game that you have? You know, so making those connections, I think, makes a real difference. And in these days and age, we also have to be cognizant of the cultural differences in our young people that we're teaching. And so we're doing culturally sensitive or responsive teaching these days, where we take that into account.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I'll talk about, particularly in this country, is that it's so important for students to see someone at the head of that classroom that looks like them, whether that's another black person or a brown person or a woman for that matter, or in the case of African Americans in this country, a black male in front of that classroom telling them or teaching them what they need to know.
So true, which is another reason we need to prioritize really effective teacher recruitment and development. We think a lot across Teach for All about how much the world is changing and about what that implies for how to prepare kids to be prepared for, you know, a changing economy and to solve these very complex and growing challenges that face us. And I'm wondering how you think about like the current economic and social trends and what I guess the implications of those for the kind of STEM education we need to provide.
Yeah. Again, it goes back to relating what we're teaching kids to the real world. And I have a prime example. And of course, now I'm going to put my astronaut hat on. It's a question that I get when I'm talking to the media or talking to any group these days as they see what's happening in the space program, where you see private industry that's now getting involved in what we're doing in low Earth orbit. You see the Artemis program, we're getting ready to go back to the moon. The Chinese are building not only a station in space, but also on the moon. And there have been several declarations, like from Elon Musk, that he's going to put a base on the moon and go to Mars. And so there's just been this lot of enthusiasm about what's happening in low Earth orbit. That in itself is going to drive a new economy. And these days I call that the space economy. And I also refer to this as the next industrial revolution. So if you believe me in this audience right now, that indeed is the next industrial revolution, then we need to be preparing our kids for that revolution.
Yeah.
Right? And that is STEM education. The heart of that is STEM education.
Yeah.
And so if they're going to get the good paying jobs since 1990, there has been an increase of 80% in STEM jobs in this country. Layer on top of that what we're doing in low Earth orbit and beyond, and if you believe me in to say that next economy is going to drive not only the United States economy, but the world economies, then it's incumbent upon us to step up and ensure that all of our communities, no matter where they're located on the earth, are prepared for that future. And as I'd like to joke, if you're not prepared for that future, you're going to be left here on earth, literally. And some people might say, that's okay, I don't want to go into space. But I'm here to tell you that even if you don't leave the planet, you're going to be affected by the technology development and innovation that's going to happen in low Earth orbit.
I think what you're saying about connecting the dots is so crucial, not only for students, but for teachers. Like, I think there is a bit of a black box around all this. Like, you talk about everything you're saying about the future and what Elon Musk is doing and all, and I think most teachers probably have trouble relating, like, what does that mean for what we need to be doing with kids today? And I wonder if you've seen good examples that you could give to help bring to life, like, how do people draw that connection for teachers and for students?
Yeah, so you work with teachers in developing curriculum around what is the latest innovation or potential innovation today, with the mindset that 9 out of the 10 jobs haven't been invented yet.
Yeah.
Right? So we need to spend time on teaching them how to critically think and give them those basic skills, and probably teach less to the test and more to what life is going to look like for them going forward. And I think in doing that, then that's going to help them be prepared for that future. But both you and I are in the teacher business, and so we need to make sure that they have the right curriculum, that they have the right content, that they know how to relate what's coming in a way that kids can be prepared.
Yeah, that resonates so much. I mean, I think we've really learned so much over time, particularly from our global work, around the importance of, if we're going to prepare students to navigate uncertainty and, invent the future, we need to focus on a holistic set of outcomes for kids, and not only kind of the narrow academic results that some of our school systems are focused on, but really fostering students' sense of agency, their awareness of the world and of their place in it. Their sense of connectedness and empathy with each other, their sense of well-being, and their problem-solving skills and critical thinking skills. So I think that's all so crucial to ensuring that kids have the kind of high-quality STEM education that we need them to both have meaningful careers and to shape a better future for all of us. So thank you so much.
Well said.
For this discussion, and thank you all as well.
Thank you.